Hello, good evening, good morning, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to Trans Nation Superstars. We're here with a select cast of people. I'm Deltaniwa X, your host, and with me is Rabbit Donkey 96, Habs for Life 634, Big Mike 46385, and Going Z 28. Welcome to the show, boys. So, Easter period, daylight savings, all that kind of crap is about to take fold in tomorrow's Bahrain Grand Prix, but we're not going to talk about Bahrain at the moment. We're going to talk about China. So, everyone apart from Josh had turned up to China, and we saw three different winners. Well, actually, we saw a repeat winner and then two different winners in the GP3 and F1 category. So we'll start with you, Guy, on this one because, of course, it was your first win in the Trans Nation Challenge and the whole thing in general, including the beta tests, and it's also Red Bull's first race win. You came into the category with a pole position to your name for Toro Rosso, and then a second place finish on debut, and now you've finally come around to claim your first victory. So you must feel good, especially now knowing that you're heading the championship lead. You're in the championship lead, and you've helped Red Bull take the lead in the constructors.
Yeah, I loved it. I was buzzing after that. It's been a long time coming, as you said. I've been in it a while, and the whole of that race, I remembered it. I was having flashbacks to that debut in Belgium. As you said, I took pole, and I was fighting with Simon for the win, and I just couldn't get past him at the end. So there was no way I was going to let him pass me and deprive me of that win. So yeah, I'm pleased to get that, and it's nice to be in the lead. It's early stages yet for both drivers and constructors, but obviously it's a nice place to be. Bit of a confidence boost.
Yeah, and of course we saw a bit of championship changing things through all three categories. Of course, we saw Black Mamba 0113 and Noek 3712 and Plevs not turn up, which kind of I suppose when you think about it, for people like myself and for myself in particular, the China was a race where I should have really tried to capitalise on my championship rivals not being there, and but yeah, unfortunately, that wasn't to be. So things can change and change.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's I love getting my first win, but as you say, it's not quite as special as it might have been if obviously everyone had Black Mamba and Noek and Plebs been there. But yeah, at the same time, I'm going to enjoy it nonetheless. But...
And Jonathan and Mike, you two had quite a bit of a up and down day in China as well. Despite everything, you look at what happened in GP2. We could have had a Sauber take the win in GP2 before Internet pretty much robbed Kart 1979 of victory. But, of course, they came back in GP3 and won with Banana Josh. So, Jonathan, just going to you, what kind of motivation does that give Sauber, knowing that now they've got three drivers with the potential to win races?
I'm fairly certain that that's going to definitely give them a confidence booster. Of course, getting the win in the GP3 category, they definitely are going to have a big confidence boost heading into the Bahrain Grand Prix throughout the rest of the season.
And Mike, you haven't had a teammate for the past couple of races, but this weekend, you're going to have your teammate. What's the strategy play for you with your teammate, especially if it becomes a point where you two could be possibly fighting for the race win? What's the plan of action there? Are you going to race hard, or are you just going to play by who's the fastest?
I mean, this is probably going to be a little bit of both, man. I mean, it's, by me being by myself for the first two races, man, it's going to be different.
And Josh, what about you? So let's put it into perspective. We'll say that you and Mike are now battling for the lead, and you're leading, but you feel that Mike's faster. Are you going to let him through because he's higher in the championship, or are you going to fight because you think you've got pace in you? I mean, what's the status quo?
That's a nasty question. That is.
It is a nasty question. But
so this is the thing, right? So it's all a team sport, right? One team, one fight. All right. So end goal is to win the championship for constructors and hopefully get one of our drivers at the champion, right? I have full faith in my teammate that he can challenge for pole position, podiums, and do the best he can, right? Everyone's going to have an off day where they don't have a good day, right? But because he is higher in the points and I'm leading, I'll probably let him go past. But that doesn't mean I'm going to let him go past easy. If he starts slowing down, I'm gonna do what I can to get back up front.
Well,
It's like there's going to be no mind games here. It's going to be either one of us are faster and it's going to go. They're going to go past, and we're gonna think about the long game at Abu Dhabi at the end. Who's going to win the constructors? And like I said, I have full faith in my teammate and myself that we can challenge for podium positions, poles, and the championship at the end of the day. Because if you think about it, the constructors is more important than the drivers, but drivers is pretty special. So as long as we can both get up there, stay up there, be consistent, then I have no problem with letting my teammate go ahead for that drivers' championship.
And of course, we know that there is no multi-21 function in any of this category. Of course, we also, speaking of teammates, and that we've also had some breaking news in the fact that James Korjanik, or Jimmy 6, has withdrawn from the Trans Nation Challenge due to personal life circumstances. So that is going to cripple Ferrari's hopes of the constructors in the F1 category. Yeah, I know. I'm deeply disappointed by it too, because he was
strong driver.
He was one of the strongest drivers, and the driver that was actually motivating me to up my game. So it's hopefully I can find another teammate to push me as well. So there are a few speculated rumors of someone that might be able to take the bill, but I won't be getting into contact with them until Russia. So
I wonder who it is.
He's a driver. He's actually Mike would know him. He is known as Ipswich, something like that.
Right.
He was wanting a Ferrari seat, so I might get into contact with him and say that there is a Ferrari seat open if he wants to take it. So anyway, so moving ahead now, we look to Bahrain, and of course, Bahrain is one of these circuits that it's a lot like China in the way that it demands a good downforce for the straights, but at the same time, it demands a lot for the cornering. So a good setup is key to that. And of course, we did have a free practice last night. Only a few drivers took place, and it was Narashi Uzumaki who took the free practice in both qualifying, race, and practice. Qualifying time of a 129.8, but claimed that there was 0.6 of a second in it. So we're looking. So pole time in F1 could be ranging around the 1 minute 28, maybe even the low 127s. But one of the biggest questions I want to ask, and I'm going to open the floor to you guys on it. What is the most key what is the key setup for Bahrain? Do you go for the high-speed straights, or do you go for cornerability and suffer in the straights but be better in the corners?
So,
oh dear.
If you guys don't mind, I'll take this one for this part. So for being a more of the liking the corners, having a car that will understeer more than oversteer, you got to think about it. So the fast second sector and the slow tight corners, you don't need that much downforce, right? But the tight corners is where you make up all your time, and then the long swooping corner right in the beginning of sector 3. So and there's 3 long, there's 2 medium straights and 1 super long straight, right? So with that, I would rather take my chances, you know. And plus you got the what you call it, the slipstream, stuff like that you can always catch up to cars, because as soon as you get in that slipstream, downforce doesn't matter. You're still going to catch up to them.
Yeah, I think personally I feel a bit more comfortable when I'm running a bit more downforce on the car, so I can be a bit faster through the corners and sacrifice a bit on the straights. But I mean, I feel like maybe it's the kind of place. Yeah, I think maybe it's the kind of place that you're going to see people adopting. Either, you know, maybe going for a qualifying setup to get as high as they can, or playing the long game and going for the race setup. So maybe, you know, being a bit faster in the straights, going for the overtaking might be a bit more favourable. So, and
of course we don't have practice as well. So it means you've got to kind of make up your
Yeah.
mind on qualifying, whether you're going to go for the pole position or you're going to go for the long run. And which brings to the next point about the strategy. Easily can be a one-stop race. You can start on the super softs and go on the mediums and go to the end. So, but of course you've got to do your quali run on your super softs, so you take a bite out of them.
Yeah.
It's never. They always talk about it can being a one-stop race, but you can never take it into account, because if you do, like what happened to me in China, if you do too many runs, qualifying runs on the one set of tyres, you end up with nothing at the start of the race. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I think if I remember rightly, I think in the test when it was the beta test, I think I was going to go for the one stop, but that I think I changed to the two stop mid race after a bit of a chaotic first corner, let's say.
So
got a tiny,
so you
I
also
got a
gotta-
tiny bit of front wing damage and decided it was a change to a two. And the problem I have with the two is obviously the fact that it means you're going to have to do a bit of overtaking and things like that, and especially if lag becomes a problem. I'd rather have track position with a one stop, I think.
So
than trying
with
to-
that though, with that, Bahrain is a hot track, right? Like that is a warm track, warm climate, right? If you think about it, we used to back in 2013 and before, we used to run it in the day, right? Or the daytime.
Right.
At night it cools down. The medium tires like the hot weather, right? If you have hot weather, the medium tires will go faster and last forever, right? So if okay, so let's say you start on the softs, right? So you start on the softs, make it a one stop, go to the mediums, right? You will be slower in the end, not because of tire wear, but because your tires cannot heat up. So if you think about it, like a two stop will be faster, but like he said, you will have to pass a lot, because this track is not a track where everyone spreads out. This is a track where everyone's close together, and you will be forced to make overtakes if you want to go for that top five. You know what I'm
and
saying?
ironically enough, this is actually being classed as one of the tracks that overtaking isn't actually that easy. So,
Yeah.
There's two overtaking spots.
Yeah, compared to Australia,
Yeah,
where it
it's
has
just-
about 3 or 4. So, tire degradation's always something you need to look out for, no matter what track it is. Apart from maybe Canada and Monaco, because they seem to have very low deg, but I think that's just because of the humidity. And then you're going to the deserts of Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, and all those kind of places where it's just naturally hot. You go to Singapore, which is complete humidity, so that track eats your tires away no matter what, because you're still looking at heats of about 60 odd degrees at night time. So you've got to you always got to look into tire strategy. Tire strategy is probably more critical, if anything, in these 50% races than your actual car pace, because it doesn't matter if you've got the quickest pace in the world. If you've got a setup that destroys your tires, you go nowhere.
So with that though, with setup, right? So if you have a low downforce setup, you're gonna eat tires through during the corners, right? You're gonna just eat them up. They're not gonna last 10 laps for the super softs, right? The super softs are the softest tires, if I'm correct.
Yeah, they are.
So you're going to eat through those during the corners, because you're going to be understeering everywhere, right? And then if you go for a high downforce and like to turn more, right? So that's going to eat through your setup. So it's honestly just a balance. You like your wings are going to have to be set almost perfectly to have that perfect tire balance setup, because with a 50% race, it's all about strategy. When you're going to pit, when the guy in front of you is going to pit, and when the guy behind you is going to pit.
And one of the most commonplace things that you can do to off-place your opponent is that you can always do the undercut, because it doesn't matter if they could be looking after their tires as much as possible, but the second you pit, they're going to need to respond, because they know that the undercut in Bahrain is very powerful. So you know, the best strategy is that you might not necessarily be burning your tires as much as you think you are, but you pit in early, everyone's going to respond. But everyone in front of you is going to respond because they don't want to get cut.
And it's also with fuel as well, because this track is known for eating up fuel as well, just the same as tires.
Exactly.
The guy behind you could be on lean, do the undercut, and get right ahead of you while still on lean because you let your tires go too far and you're using standard. At the end of the race, I guarantee 2 or 3 people will run out of fuel.
Exactly.
It's bound to happen. It's happened before. It's even happened in the real life Grand Prix where you see the backmarker teams pushing so hard to get that next spot, the pride, right? Because if you're not racing for points, 11th place is a pride. You fight for 11th place for pride. All right. They would run out of fuel because they decided that they wanted to go use Rich Mix to go get that pride jump instead of just finishing the race.
Exactly, and finishing is always better on your cards than not. But anyway, I think we'll drop off that topic for now, and we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have a look at the placement for Trans Nation Challenge in the future, and of course with Trans Nation season 2018. So stay with us. All right, welcome back to Trans Nation Superstars. We've just been covering the events of the Chinese Grand Prix and previewing the Bahrain Grand Prix with strategy, tyre wear, fuel degradation, whatever you want to call it. Now we're going to be talking about the future of the Trans Nation Challenge and what's about to transpire. So, as everyone knows, the Trans Nation Challenge covers 3 categories of F1, GP2, and GP3. That is about to change at the end of this season. Upon the release of F1 2018 on the PlayStation 4, Xbox, Steam, whatever other consoles or whatever they bring out, we're going to be...
the Wii U, yeah?
Yeah, the Wii U. That'd be...
The Nintendo Switch.
Oh, God. I didn't even know that existed up until about 3 weeks ago. But anyway, so...
It's been out for a year.
So, yeah, well, I'm out of the loop. But anyway, so GP2 and GP3 disappear, and it becomes the Trans Nation Challenge F2 League. So it becomes more connected to the F1 League, and we've got quite a range of drivers now moving from category to category. We're going to have a look at the F2 first because it's quite an interesting... It's probably one of the biggest jumps in what we call the silly season. We see in XNZ Pro 55 go from Red Bull to Ferrari for season 2018, and his replacement there is none other than you, Mike, at Red Bull. So, Mike, I think initially you wanted to be in Mercedes, but unfortunately that role had been taken by Erlandang, who is now going to partner up with Jonathan in Mercedes. But so, do you think Red Bull are going to deliver you a package that could make you, if you can't win the championship this season, do you think they're going to deliver a package that could help you win it next season?
Yeah, I think Red Bull had the package that I think they'll be a little bit better than what Haas is right now. So I think it'll be an exciting season next year.
And of course we go by that too because you guys have actually announced that you're staying at Red Bull for another season. So was that something that they wanted, or did you just say to them that if I can't win the championship this season, I want to win it for you next season?
Yeah, it was very much a case of I'm happy at the moment, and I feel like we made good progress as well evidenced by the win last week, and I feel like with that progress and we're in a strong place at the moment, and I feel like it's right to keep it going at the moment. So I feel like we're going to have a just as good season next season.
And of course,
hopefully we can press on.
And you also have Matt staying on aboard with you. So you haven't really done a lot of you haven't really had a lot of teammate battle with your teammate just yet. But of course, Bahrain, this time last year, last season, Bahrain, you two were in quite heated combat. Of course, he was in Ferrari at the time, but.
Yeah.
So you know his pace. Do you think you'll be able to work together this time around to, bag a good result?
Yeah, no doubt. We had a chat before the season even started, and we said that we reckon we've got a good chance of taking the constructors with with the car that we got and the pace that we both got, we reckon we've got a good chance of getting the constructors. So I think we both plan on helping each other out rather than taking each other out, as was the case. It seemed last year.
One of the biggest changes that I've noticed in the championship, and it caught me. Well, I kind of half expected him to go here, but Black Mamba 0113 to Ferrari for season 2018. So this, I think I saw this one coming because every time we've ever done off championship races, he's always been in the Ferrari. So
yeah.
He's jumped at the chance to take the seat because of Jimmy Six removing himself from the league, and of course my shift to Alfa Romeo Sauber. So Jonathan, you're staying at Mercedes. At the moment, you're doing a good job despite not having a teammate. But there is a possibility that if your teammate does not attend this weekend, you will have a new driver in Erlang Dang. So basically, Erlang Dang will take his position at the Silver Arrows and then will stay aboard for the next season. So do you think, if this happens, do you think Erlang Dang will push you enough to try and up your game a bit?
Definitely. Erlang Dang, of course, like we discussed last week before the Chinese Grand Prix, being the invitational driver in the GP2 race at Australia coming in fourth, so we know he's a good driver. He finished up towards the front at China in the GP3 race, so I actually am looking forward to seeing him in, as much as I'd like to see Albert show up to the race tomorrow night. If he doesn't, and Erlang Dang comes up to the does indeed jump into the Silver Arrows as my teammate, then we definitely can make a run at the constructors this season. And having a full season under our belts next year, that's by far, you can see the Silver Arrows as constructors champions in 2018.
And of course, you, Josh, are going to McLaren for season 2018. You're currently in Haas at the moment with Big Mike. So going into that, jumping from Haas to McLaren, you obviously feel that McLaren have boosted their performances and look like genuine title contenders for next season. So do you think that you being in McLaren this season next season alongside CAJ is going to help you bring McLaren back to glory? Nope.
Cool. Might have some connection issues then.
Yeah, okay. So it looks like we've lost Josh anyway. But let's get the personal perspective. McLaren now for season 2018 going to the Renault engine. Could we see a return to glory for the most prestigious team in the category?
I'm not sure about a return to glory, but definitely an improvement. I think they're going to be nearer the front, but who knows? I mean, it's early stages yet. Too early to tell, really. But I'm definitely expecting a improvement.
Well, of course, we've got we've got Matt Your Daddy in the F1 to drive the second in the McLaren for that team, and then he's partnered up with Bruno Galavasia.
Yeah, well, that's true, because from what we saw from Bruno in China, I mean, he stuck it on pole, and so he's obviously got the pace in F1 to challenge, and definitely been impressed with what we've seen from Matt Your Daddy. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't see. I think we've still got to see them beat Black Mamba and Noah clean, but I think they're going to be up there, no doubt.
Well, I mean, just looking at everything, and then of course we've got two additional tracks to contend with the 2018 game. We go back to Hockenheim, which it was an all right track. I think it was an all right track for myself. I can't really.
It's a bit of a nothing, a bit of an average track for me. I don't hate it, but equally I don't love it. So.
And then we go to, well, I suppose when you think about it, it is kind of also a return to Paul Ricard, because the Formula One had raced in Paul Ricard back in the early 70s, and probably I think they moved to Magny Cours in the 90s. So a return to Paul Ricard.
Yeah.
So two new we'll just call them two new Grand Prix, and we lose Malaysia, which is to me is very disappointing because I loved Malaysia as a track a lot more than I loved, a lot more than China, despite people, comparing the two, saying they're exactly the same track, but something about Malaysia just had more character to the track. You didn't have, you weren't always, you're always turning, and that's the thing. But with China, you turn, straight, turn.
Yeah.
But,
no, I agree. I like Malaysia more than China. It's a shame to see it go. I'm looking forward to having France back. Although I've never raced around the Paul Ricard before. I would have preferred it to be Magny Cours. I used to love that track.
Yeah. I do as well.
But
Magny Cours would have definitely.
Yeah, but no, I'm looking forward to that. It'd be fun to try out a new track.
I mean, I have a wish list of tracks that I wish not NASCAR, but what would actually fathom and take a chance at running. Because they are looking at expanding to more races for 2019, and I'd actually like to see maybe another Canadian date on the calendar that they run at Motorsport.
Yeah.
What other tracks do they have, actually? Because as far as I'm aware, I think only Montreal sounds... Oh, they have Vancouver, don't they? They do have one in Vancouver, don't they?
And, well, there's also that and the street circuit that they run in Toronto. They could, for IndyCar, if they want to put it...
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Another track... See, one track I'd love to see come back, but unfortunately I don't think they ever will, is Istanbul, Turkey.
Yeah. No, that was a really nice track.
The Valencia too. I'd like to see make a return.
I'd love.
Yeah.
Valencia was one of the very, very few street circuits that I didn't despise.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked it. I've actually been to Valencia, and I went around the area where they had that track. And it's pretty cool.
I think they just alternate between the European Grand Prix thing. So maybe you might see it come back. We never know.
I'd like to see it.
Another track is also I enjoyed back in the days of F1 99. Now, this is going way back, so if you can figure that out, you might be able to figure out my age, people watching. So, Buenos Aires, Argentina, was actually quite a cool track.
I never tried that. Well, I don't think I did anyway.
But Buenos Aires was one of those tracks. It was a lot like it was a bit like Magny Cours, but it was a bit more flowing. And it was one of the tracks I really enjoyed playing on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation for F1 99 with its amazing crisp graphics.
Well, a couple of other ones that I'd like to see come back. Imola.
I was just about to say San Marino and
Estoril.
I wouldn't mind them going back to the one of the biggest wish lists I had for F1 2018 was post-season testing, proper testing, like proper test days, so that when you do career mode or even if you do an online championship, you can select the venue as your pre-season testing venue, and you pretty much have the whole day. You can just be in the session for the whole day doing testing.
Yeah.
Or they. Even if they were to bring back the Indian Grand Prix, like they ran from 2011 to 2013.
I loved India. I don't know what it was about India, but I loved that track.
Mont Tremblant. Here in Canada was a track they raced.
I know there's one track that Mackenzie would love to have back, and that's Korea.
Yeah.
That track actually wasn't that bad, actually.
Yeah, the track was good. The only problem it had was
I never got on with it.
The issue with the AI, in particular, one Lewis Hamilton, who for some reason didn't matter what AI settings you had it to, he was always so dominant on that track. And of course, and this takes me back to my our little co-op career mode in 2013. When Lewis Hamilton was just pulling away from the field, and then I recall you taking him out for me so I could win the race when he was coming to lap you. So,
yeah.
Oh dear.
It was that bad. I mean, I think we had it on I think at the time you could only go as high as Legend AI, so he was on
Yeah.
Legend. They were all on Legend, and he for some reason was just so much better than the rest, and so that was the only gripe I had about Korea. And Korea was a great track, and I did enjoy it. Mackenzie was actually, I reckon it was actually one of Mackenzie's strongest tracks. I just think with F1 2012's different gaming engine to 2013, he just got a bit too loose on the last corner and bottled it. So
This seems to get brought up, I think, every broadcast that we do. I think we managed to bring this.
Well, it's so infamous. That's the thing. And then I'll add this story in, and then we're going to go to a break. We'll talk about this is America 2016. So we were having one last race on F1 2016 before 2017 came out, and Mackenzie was leading the race by quite a margin from Alex Pure Axel 21-21, and then Pure Axel said, "I've got all these penalties. Can you let me through, and we'll have a race?" So. And of course we know Pure Axel 21-21 is Mr. Consistency, so the lie in that was that he didn't have any penalties at all.
Well, I knew it, yeah.
So he played Mackenzie for a fall. Mackenzie led him through. They had a battle. Alex crossed the line and won the race.
Wow.
Another one
Like
of those.
I myself too, I'd also like to see them move the U.S. Grand Prix back to Indy.
I would agree, but I think one of the biggest issues that prompted the move away from Indy was the infamous 2005 race when Michelin refused to have their drivers race because the Michelin tyres couldn't handle the stress of the final turn.
Wasn't it the year before that Ralph Schumacher's tyre blew out?
Well, actually, oddly, it was
huge crash.
It was 2 years in a row. It was both 2003 and 4 that Ralph Schumacher had the same problem on the same corner. It was just the
Either that, or I'd like to see them run the U.S. Grand Prix at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca.
Well, I mean, I like the idea of it. The idea sounds great. I just don't think those cars would be able to handle the corkscrew. Because
that's exactly what you. That's exactly what you would call the event, the Corkscrew Grand Prix.
The massive drop in altitude. I almost feel like the cars will just bottom out, drop down, and then snap their front wings off, and they'll flip over themselves. That's how I envision it.
And I'm also surprised that you didn't think of this one, Brett. Is Bathurst?
Well, oddly enough, Bathurst has hosted a few Formula One cars in the past. We looked at 2010 when Jenson Button came over to race in Craig Lowndes' 888 Vodafone Commodore, and Craig Lowndes drove his Formula One car around Bathurst as well. And of course, Jenson Button clocked a 1 minute 45.3 around the Mount Panorama circuit, which still stands to this day as the world record speed around that track in any car, basically. So I think it wouldn't be. I don't think it would be a bad track to have a Formula One race in. I just think the only issue is that it's quite narrow on its own for even the supercars up through the hills. So I don't think wide Formula One cars would be able to get through there. It would be kind of just single file up until Conrod Straight.
Like, even if they were to do a race too, they could do Mugello in Italy.
Well, there's so many the thing about it, and I mean, we need to kind of cut this short because we could go on about this for hours, and we probably will do this after the broadcast. But there's so many variations, so many tracks that you can choose from. So we're going to drop it there, and we're going to go to a break. And when we come back, we're going to wrap it up with the predictions for the GP3, GP2, and F1 category for the Bahrain Grand Prix. So stay with us. And welcome back to Transnation Superstars. It's a bit a longer episode than per se, but we have been quite in discussion about future tracks that the Formula One could be taking part in. But anyway, we're now going to move on to the final segment. There's no Grill the Grid today because there's not enough people to really do it. So
here's a question. Here's a question for those that have been paying attention. What is my new number?
Yeah. Okay.
God. Something like 32.
There we go.
That's correct.
Good guess.
Oh, yes.
Nice.
I surprised myself.
So, of course, for those who are trying to figure all that out, Josh, who was with us earlier, wanted the number 62, so a negotiation was made between the two drivers and myself, and Jonathan has now elected to move to the number 32. And, of course, Guy here also has had his number changed.
Yeah, what's my new number, guys?
Yeah, so... I'm just keeping out of it because I know it, so...
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to get it.
We'll give it 3 seconds, and that's it. So the answer is car 80.
Nice.
Of course, this
no idea
being
why,
because
but...
Brendan Hartley, of course, has the number 28 in F1 2018, which kind of brings to the question of that. Despite that thing, I mean, we talk about it all the time, and it's one of the things that gets to people is that if they're not in the race online, you should by virtue be allowed to have their numbers, apart from number 17, which of course has been retired from Formula One because of Jules Bianchi. So
yeah, it's true.
It's one of those things that you think that because it's online, and unless you race with the AI online, you should be, by virtue, allowed to use their numbers in your car, apart from career mode.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, so we're going to now move to the prediction side of things. So we've got 2 GP3 drivers and 2 F1 drivers. So for Guy and myself, we'll base the predictions on the GP2 and the GP3, whereas Jonathan and Mike will base their opinions on the F1 and the GP2. So I'll go by the order of what my Skype is showing me. So, Guy, we'll start with you. So, your predictions for who's going to get pole and the win in GP2 and GP3.
Okay. GP2. Is there anyone I should know about that isn't attending? Just before
as far as I'm aware, the only person who isn't attending at the moment is Ian Betts, 900. He thinks he's going to make it, but he's not 100% sure.
Okay. It's hard because it's hard to bet against Mackenzie.
And Pure Axel 2121 won't be here either. Sorry, I forgot that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. It's hard to bet against Mackenzie at the moment, considering the form that he's shown in the first 2 races. But I have a feeling that Matty Daddy is going to pull something out this weekend. He's been showing some good pace. Just needs a clean race, really, I think. So I'm gonna put Mackenzie on pole. I think he's got the pace, but I'm gonna back Matt Your Daddy to snatch a win this week and start his challenge, really. GP3, I'm gonna go with. I think we're gonna see a double from. I'm gonna say pole and win for Infinite March.
Okay.
He's been showing some strong pace, especially last week when he filled in for obviously my teammate Plevs at China.
And he will be also filling in this weekend too for Xeri and Toro Rosso. So
yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I think he's been strong, so I'm gonna back him.
All right, Jonathan, you. And I'll just say that we won't have Noak 3712. I don't know whether about Black Mamba 0113, but we also won't have Xeri or, well, we don't have Jimmy 6 anymore, so.
Let's see. For F1 on the pole, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go with Plebs on the pole.
Of course, he did get pole. He did get pole last season, but
yeah.
But the only thing I question mark is the pole time. So, because I reckon the pace has increased. So I'm not dropping your judgment on that one, Jonathan. I'm just saying he kind of needs to improve on. He needs to improve on that time that he set if he wants.
I'm just
to
saying I'm faster than him. That's all I'm saying.
well, Brett, that I was going to give you the race win anyway in F1.
Oh, there we go.
Well, okay.
And then And GP2, Mackenzie with the sweep. Pole and the win. Pole and the win.
Okay, and Mike, you?
As far as GP3 goes, I think you said is March going to be in the race this weekend or no?
Well, yeah, but we're talking about F1. For you, it's F1 and GP2. We're
F1.
not trying to be biased.
Right. Well, to be honest with you, I mean, I really don't know too many people in F1 or GP2. I mean, no disrespect at all. I mean, I know that Black Mamba was there, but he won't be there. So, I mean, I'm thinking that you might win the race. I mean, I looked at your pace, yesterday when we were, doing the practice and qualifying in the race. So I think you might do a good job come tomorrow.
Finally, some love for the defending champion.
Nah.
And GP2?
GP2, man, I think it's kind of up in the air, dude. I mean, I really don't know too many people over there.
Well, we'll just leave it on that one. So for me, I think for GP2, a lot of people say Mackenzie, but I actually reckon his teammate, Conman69, I reckon he's got more pace than Mackenzie so far. The pace I've seen him from yesterday was quite convincing. So
Bold claim.
So, but I'm going to put my money again. Well, actually, I didn't put my money on it because I didn't know what his pace was like. But I reckon Kart 1979 is going to take pole again. And then I think he's going to take the race winner and redeem himself after what happened in China.
Yeah, that's fair. It wouldn't surprise me. I was torn.
Yeah, well, I think we all were. We were all torn by it.
Yeah, it's so close now. It's so close in.
When you're 3 laps, I felt for March as well, but the difference in his situation was that his was at the start of the race. He was able to come back and then recover, though he did push himself a little way too hard for that. But so I reckon Kart for the double and redeem himself and get Sauber's first win in the TNC GP2. For GP3, I think Pierre Manet on pole.
Yeah.
And then I reckon Banana Josh again for the win because his pace, and he wasn't as quick as March at the start of the race, but then once March was out of the picture, he fended off Pierre Manet so well. And despite I've been looking at that video every day, and I still can't really figure out what happened to Pierre Manet.
Yeah, it was a weird one, wasn't it?
Especially like if it was a glitch from his front going straight into the back of Banana Josh, you would have seen the front wheel go off, but it was the right rear.
Yeah, I saw in that patch that they just released, they said they supposedly fixed the problems with the latency when a car goes inside another car, so it could have been maybe lagged inside the car and then just blew up.
Well, that's happened quite a few times in the past, so hopefully this issue has been resolved. But but if I'm gonna add a bit of a spice here, I reckon Jonathan, I could see you on the podium. So no pressure.
I'd like to hope so.
No pressure. So, but I'd also like to. It's hard when you got so many close drivers in GP3. Like GP2, you've got a range, those in the front, those in the back. But GP3, it's just so tight packed. There's always
Oh yeah.
You just can't
crazy.
honestly predict the winner because it doesn't happen. Although surprisingly, my prediction for Banana Josh winning the Chinese Grand Prix, which I had completely forgotten about until someone brought it up, was completely accurate. So
yeah, you got it right. You got all your predictions right.
Well, not all of them, but I would say that if I can be the new Nostradamus, I'll be sweet. But anyway, that's all the time we've got here for Trans Nation Superstars. I don't want to make this video any longer than it already has. It's nearly been an hour. So this has been Deltaniwa X, Rabbit Donkey 96, Big Mike 46385, Habs for Life 634, and we originally had Going Z28. He must have disappeared. But anyway, stay tuned for coverage of the Trans Nation Challenge tomorrow at the early hours of 6 in the morning, New Zealand Daylight Saving Standard Time. Of course, Daylight Saving. That's the one thing we never covered. So actually, before we go, we're just going to cover this. Who here agrees that Daylight Saving should just disappear?
100% agree.
Yeah, it's not needed now.
No, it's
Mine,
No, it's not.
over here in Canada, ours was a couple of weeks ago, and we're still getting adjusted to it.
and of course,
Yeah, it's just-
and,
it's
and
just
of
not
course,
needed.
we go back, and as of tomorrow, we go back an hour. Everyone else has gone forward an hour, so it's really stuffed up the timetable for the Trans Nation Challenge. So it's a 6 a.m. start. It's a 6 a.m. start for me. Next, over the course of the week, with my time off, I'm going to be trying to find a perfect balance for everyone. So the times are 6 a.m. in the morning for GP2, 9 in the morning for F1, and 11 a.m. for GP3. Of course, this is only for this week. And of course, let's not forget, Happy Easter, everyone. Have a nice, safe Easter, and we'll catch you again for next week for the Trans Nation Superstars when we review Bahrain and preview Russia. So this has been the guys here at Trans Nation Superstars signing out.